Ohtani. He was DHing yesterday, and he had a triple and a homer. JP, I'll go to you here. You have two generational superstar players, and you're not near winning the division. You're not near winning the playoffs. What do they do?
Robert, it's a great question. I think this is going to be probably one of the more dominant storylines of the entire offseason. I would say this. By late September, early October, there has to be a conversation, Perry Manassian, ownership, and Shohei, his agents, to say, listen, what do we want to do here? And if he is not interested in signing long-term because of the direction of the franchise, I think you do owe it at that point in time to move him. Yes. I think right now, when you watch an Angels game, look at all the international advertising around the ballpark. I get not trading him now. He's so much a part of your business. But I do think for the future of both him, the game, your organization, what you're going to get from Trout, you get a lot more information by the fall. I think at that point in time, D-Ro, then you make your move.
I just look at what Soto brought back.
Yeah.
Soto was
franchise-changing.
A franchise-changing trade. Not now, 2024, 2025. You're gonna see the Nationals back contending. They could have done the same thing. You don't know what Artie Moreno says behind the scenes to Perry Manassian and all the stuff that goes behind.
Just want to see Trout in the postseason, please.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all.
We all do.
Another interesting offseason for the Angels ahead. But in the short term, Mike Trout is expected to be back on run. Let's dive in and let's talk about Tony Gonsolin. Gets another win yesterday. And I know people don't value wins for pitchers the way we used to, but to me, it still matters. I think it's part of a story, the complete look of a pitcher, and he is now 15-1. He's the second Dodgers pitcher to win 15 of his first 16 decisions since Don Newcomb. Wow. Back in 1955, JP, Tony Gonsolin has been amazing, and they have needed him to be amazing.
They have, and the key thing for me, Robert, is he's going deeper into games now. 6 2/3, then 7. The Dodgers need that workhorse without Buehler there. We're certainly going to talk about, is he the Cy Young frontrunner? I'm still leaning towards Sandy Alcantara because of the innings pitch that Sandy has given. But, Case, I go back. You think about that draft the Dodgers had in 2016. It was Gonsolin, Will Smith, Dustin May. This group is sustaining the organization. He has been so impressive this
Talk about what a time for Gonsolin to be who he is right now. I mean, especially with Buehler going down, not going to be there in the postseason. This guy has been an absolute workhorse.
I'm gonna say, I don't think there's a lot of people wearing Dodger blue that are surprised by Tony Gonsolin's success. I mean, the stuff has always been there. We've seen him come out in out of the bullpen at times, get spot starts. He's always been filthy. What I liked is the fact that he got back to his little slider last night. He said he tweaked a few things on that in the bullpen. His split's devastating. I still think Urias gets the ball game 1 postseason. But he's certainly, I like what Doc Roberts said, the hottest guys will get the ball.
Right. And one thing Dave Roberts told us earlier this year is he loves that Gonsolin has started closing doors in terms of how he gets input, which I loved. Basically saying, I've been around long enough.
I know
my
what
fourth year. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know myself, and I'm not going to listen to everybody's input. Good. You go with maybe your 1 or 2 people to keep you in check, and he's out there dominating.
One of the more surprising trades at the deadline was Jordan Montgomery going with the Texas Rangers. He was the 3rd longest tenured decision maker, baseball op, general manager, however you want to term it, behind Brian Cashman and Billy Beane of the Oakland A's. And JP, this comes on the heels of them firing Chris Woodward. What's the outlook now for the Rangers?
Well, it's certainly a turn of the page for the franchise. Chris Young now moving into a more elevated position to run all of baseball operations for the Rangers, including a managerial search in the days ahead. We're talking earlier, will they maybe go with a more experienced manager?
Yes, they will.
But for me, John Daniels, I think a moment on him. He takes this job at the age of 28. He succeeds John Hart back in 2005. That has been a tremendous period of stability. The Rangers' first World Series. They get there in back-to-back years. To your point earlier, maybe
they were a strike away.
They were a strike away, a catch away, a move away. Obviously, in Game 6 of the 11 World Series, how different is everything about the Rangers if that play is made and if that game is a win for them. But I think overall, the Rangers built a lot of history with John Daniels leading their baseball ops.
I look at his run as a positive. 17 years anywhere to run a ball club is incredible, absolutely incredible. I just think them signing Simeon and Seager, they have high expectations, and I just think John became the fall guy. But at the end of the day, 17 years getting that organization to a good place.
He took the greatest run. Be honest, I was there in 05.
Yes,
I signed with Texas in 05. John Daniels was our age, Michael Young's, the Mark Teixeira's of the world. So, like, for him to walk in the clubhouse, it was like having one of your buddies in the clubhouse, to be honest with you. And he had a vision for what he wanted to do when John Hart left.
That
Got him the
Teixeira
2 World Series. I mean, he did a lot of
By
really
all
good
accounts, a
things there.
successful run. Wasn't ultimately what they wanted?
I heard Jim Bowden say something on MLB radio real quick. He said, you know, Alex Anthopoulos took a step back after leaving Toronto, ended up going and being a kind of a consultant with the Dodgers, learning a new avenue. I think sometimes maybe you need to grow a little bit different. Maybe he takes a step back.
He'll be back if he wants to. Yeah, absolutely.
Takes a little different look
Very
at
young
it.
man, lots of time ahead of him for sure.
You know who's definitely coming back, and that's Mike Trout. He tweeted out this. Got the airplane emojis. Detroit.
I'm always excited to go home to Detroit. That's how I feel every time I go back home.
Right.
But obviously Trout's arrival a little more heralded and certainly well deserved.
What are we hoping to see? Obviously, we want to see him healthy, but what should we expect? Do you think the rest?
Rockets all over the lot.
Yeah. It's a great question. I mean, this is obviously now a pivotal time in his career, as these guys can attest. I mean, the later you get in your career, the harder it is to come back from an injury. You think about last year, an injury ended his season. This is obviously not about making the playoffs because they're not going to. It's about just having a good foundation. He wants to be the captain for Team USA at the WBC in the spring. You have to end your year on a high note if you want to have any kind of momentum going into that tournament, D-Row, in the spring.
I think this is to squash all that back injury. Kind of got reported and got a little out of the way. I mean, people were asking him if his career was over. He's like, what are you talking about? So I think this is his opportunity to come back and kind of silence.
They lose another game yesterday to the Seattle Mariners, but hey, let's give you some more highlights. Diamondbacks, Giants from San Francisco, Lamont Wade Jr., late night Lamont. 8th home run of the season, 1-0 San Francisco, 4th inning. Stone Garrett. Because Stone Garrett said so, and that's the bottom line. That's extra bases. Here comes Christian Walker.
First big league knock.
If your name is Stone Garrett, you're doing things.
Look at him flexing.
Absolutely. Full bottom 6, J.D. Davis.
He's been good over there.
8th home run of the year, 2-1 San Francisco.
I don't want to cut off your shot sheet and highlight, but I was sitting there last night. San Francisco's winners of 5 in a row coming into last night. They end up losing on a Jake McCarthy bullet right here. But I'm saying to myself, if they could sneak in with Webb and Rodon, they present almost the toughest pitching matchup of the 5 teams kind of fighting for those 3 wild card spots.
Over the Phillies?
Take that. They're close, right? Wheeler, Nola.
Yeah.
Take the Braves out of it.
Diamondbacks get the win 3-2. We have an 11-game slate on this Thursday. Those games highlighted in yellow mean that many of you will see them right here on the network. We're going to start it with the Dodgers and Brewers, and we will bring it home with our showcase game, Blue Jays and Yankees, followed by the post-game show and then quick pitch.